So, if you could actually pass on a small nugget of wisdom to someone who has been in your shoes before, so maybe they studied a degree that they're not going to go into and they're probably diverting into journalism like you, or anyone that's actually doing journalism, what kind of advice would you give them?
I would say just take the plunge. That's the best advice I can give.
Yeah.
So when I had the idea for Righteous, I almost didn't do it because I was sat there thinking, this probably isn't going to work and I don't know what I'm
Mm.
doing. But I thought, do you know what? What's the worst that could happen? And so I genuinely do think whoever it is, whatever the idea is, just take the plunge because,
Yeah.
the worst case scenario really isn't going to be that bad.
Exactly.
If a young woman out there wanted to go into the army, what would you say to them?
I would say go. It's an experience. There are some things that you'll experience as a military person that you won't experience as a civilian. There is a lot of camaraderie. There's a lot of good things if you rise above the racism and all of that kind of stuff. There are a lot of good things that you can get from being a serving person.
And the career pathway seems to be quite very structured, isn't it?
Exactly. You will have the structure, you will have the discipline, and of living your life in a particular way.
I mean, you're literally studying how this country works. So, how was that like?
I have to say, you have to change your complete perception coming into this degree.
Oh,
Everything
okay.
you learn at A level or everything, you think you know how to write an essay until you come into law. And that
Really?
was what someone had told me beforehand. And I didn't really understand what that meant until I got my first essay back. And I said, what?
Oh.
Something's not right here, because I thought I knew that these big words belong here. I read many
Yeah.
judgments beforehand. We were doing, I think it was contract law, one of
Right.
the qualifying degree fundamentals of modules. And I was shocked, and I thought that I was in the right mindset, and then I thought I was writing like a lawyer already, and I was like using all these big words, and she said, no, do
Oh,
not write big words, keep it
right.
simple,
Okay.
keep it really does. It's a mind twist,
Yeah, I can
but
imagine.
it's not hard.
Let's go back to what you were saying.
Okay, right. No problem. So in terms of funding, right? So you look at the situation, you say, yes, you see a player who is really, really gifted, right? In my eyes, we're thinking, oh, wow, this guy is great. He can do everything you want with the ball, and
Yes,
you want to
sir.
get into, you want him to play at the highest level, so that whatever happens, it's up to him when it gets to that level. But he needs the inspiration, he needs the funding, right? You said it right. At least 500-600 pounds. That's what you need to put a child in an elite program, so he gets the training he requires. Sometimes they train 3-4 times a week, and then that would obviously bring out whatever kind of natural ability he has. And then who knows? From there, he can get leverage into a very, very good setup. But if there are no funds, that child is more or less shortchanged in terms of his abilities. And then we've seen this happen to so many of the players that either have come through us or
If I produced a piece of digital art today, or even a painting that I then posted up onto Facebook,
Yes.
there would be no way, if you said to me, Rebecca, I want to buy that painting off you, there would be no way for me to say, okay, Velma, you own this flat out, because it's a digital artwork and people can cut and paste it and post it, and it can literally go viral, right?
Yes.
But what happens with an NFT is that it is in the art world, we call it provenance, right? So it's when you come into the gallery and you say, Rebecca, I want to buy a painting, I don't just hand over the painting and you hand over money to me. I sign a document that says Damien Hirst painting 256 was sold at this time, this date, and I sign it as a gallerist to you. So it's like buying a diamond. You get a piece of paper that says, okay, this is a 3-carat diamond. It was bought here.
Definitely. I think that we always notice that white players are tend to be, or at least what I've noticed is that they tend to be kind of like, if they're gonna be sort of treated differently or treated harshly, they're not treated harshly because of their race, but ethnic minorities have often, when like fans are angry at them, their sort of ethnic minority background is kind of used against them in that sort of way. So I definitely have picked up on that.
Have you dealt with, obviously modelling is quite a, let's say, not a hard career to do it within itself, but I feel like it comes with quite some negative aspects, rejection. How do you handle that kind of rejection when it comes to when you go for casting calls? Let's talk modelling first.
For modelling castings, it's kind of just like, usually when you don't get the part, it's not usually you, it's usually just because you're not the look that they were going for.
Right.
So when it comes to modelling, it's kind of just like, you don't really take it personally.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar with acting as well. Like, learning with my agency, most of the time, the reason why you didn't get the role has nothing to do with your acting. It's just because the director didn't think that your image fit the character.
Freedom Day. What do they actually mean?
Freedom Day is now Boris Johnson, Downing Street, and the rest of the Parliament have now decided that it's Freedom Day because a lot of restrictions have been lifted. And as you know, we've been in lockdown 2 or 3 times. I think 3 times we've been in total in lockdown. We've had severe restrictions from the pandemic, first wave, second wave. Possibly we went through a third wave or going through a third wave. So today marks a milestone where they're saying Freedom Day is where we no longer are required to wear our masks. So I'm not sure how people are feeling, whether it's people are feeling happy about it or whether they think that, it shouldn't be called Freedom Day or that we should still be wearing our masks. But in addition to that, they've also released restrictions on pubs and nightclubs.
Back in the day, like, the ideal body type was kind of Victoria's Secret models, very thin, very waifish, and sort of like, not that there's anything wrong with that, but, majority of people don't look like that. And so plus size people weren't very represented. And then now we're seeing sort of on platforms like social media, giving plus size people an opportunity to feel more represented and actually not even be represented, but for them to actually have the opportunity to represent themselves. Isn't that amazing? I think that's one of the best points about social media. As much as it's given a platform for people who look kind of like the top of the sort of beauty standard chain or whatever, like, it's also given the platform for people who don't fit those molds to kind of represent themselves. And I think that's very powerful and very great.
Business, that sounds amazing. So how does it feel to you to have one of those?
I think it's, in a sense, it gives you power.
Yeah.
Like, without like pushing men to the side, it makes you feel like for so long, obviously, you're not seen on the same level, but I can be seen at the same level.
Exactly.
I can be seen as, I own a business, I run a business, I do it myself, but you'll still have people question it because you're a female. You'll still have that, like, they don't see it as serious. I know when I've been in conversations around a table with, my mates who are self-employed, who are males doing something or another, owning a business, there's a different response. You get a different, oh yeah, what do you do, mate, to him, and it's just like, oh, okay, do beauty. Like, it's not that, it really isn't that. And a lot of females are so powerful in.
But yeah, just wanted to talk about life after graduation. So there's so much that happens from the moment, let's say the moment you finish your like exams and stuff. Like in the, obviously I don't know when everyone finishes, it's, all unis are independent, but I think end of May, end of June, everyone kind of finishes their exams, last assignments, they hand it in, you know, it's like a breath of fresh air. It's like, oh my God, 3, 4, maybe 5, depending on the course that you've done. Those years are finished, they're done. Like, and you just wrapped it up by just handing in one final assignment. And that can be very kind of a light moment, and it can be a very heavy moment when you realise, oh Christ, I've got to go and do like normal stuff now. I've got to leave behind this life that I've been living for the past 4 years. This little bubble, actually.